everyone, morning. Thanks again for watching my last video. You guys continue to be absolutely amazing, just helping me, supporting me, sending me messages. I've had some brilliant chats this week. And so thanks again for watching. Thanks again for sharing. The sharing bit is the most magical bit actually, because it's helping me touch bases with people that I haven't managed or haven't met yet, and maybe they're in the journey or maybe they're not, but I know that it's helping to spread awareness, which is the whole point of these videos. So Lipoedema Awareness Month Lipoedema Awareness Month has come to an end, but I am going to just probably finish my month of awareness with my surgery journey, because I started talking about that last week and I said I was going to come back on. So about 2 years ago, 3 years ago I started thinking about it, but 2 years ago I really started on my journey. So I just wanted to tell you a bit about that today. And the reason why I'm sharing my surgery story is for two reasons. The first reason is because more people need to know about the fact that we're having surgery. So I'm raising awareness for people who maybe don't know enough about it or maybe thinking about it themselves. And also the second reason is because it's a big step for me, and it's a big surgery. It's 3 big surgeries. I will have 3 surgeries. I'll have surgery to remove the lipedema from one hip to one ankle. So I'm going to look a bit lopsided for 3 months. Then 3 months later, I'll have surgery on the other leg to remove the lipedema from my ankle up to my hip. And then probably about 3 to 6 months later, so those 2 surgeries will be 3 stone and lipedema weight that will be removed. And then 3 to 6 months later, I will have another surgery which will remove the lipedema from my hips, from my abdomen, from my bum, and from that shelf. My shelf will be no longer. So these are the 3 surgeries that I'm going to have. So pretty big deal. So the reason why I'm sharing is because for those of you who are watching this, and I know a few of you have had surgery that are watching it, I'd really like it if you could feedback to me about things that I need to be thinking about, planning for, things I need to be mindful of, and that not just in the physical sense, right? Because actually there's loads of information on the web about how to prepare yourself physically for surgery. But I'm also really mindful about how do I prepare myself for this? How do I prepare myself, not so much for the surgeries, I don't think anyway at this stage, but maybe I'm being naive in thinking this. Not so much for the surgeries, because I think I can understand the mental way I need to prepare for that. I think it's more like what happens after surgery that I probably just would like a bit more insight into. Anyway, so if we get back to the surgeries, there are 2 routes of surgery options in the UK. One is that you can pursue surgery through the NHS, which is the route that I've chosen. It is a route fraught with some journey, which I'm going to share with you today. And also it's difficult because, as far as I know, and certainly from a Scottish point of view, there's just one surgeon in Scotland who does this, Mr. Munnock, who I'll speak about throughout this video. He's based at NHS Tayside, so up in Dundee at Ninewells Hospital there. And the other route you can go is private. And I'm lucky and in that position that I could consider both of those. I can consider both those routes. And one seems easier than the other because private surgeries maybe are set up in a different way. So, you know, maybe in hindsight, if I'd gone the private route, I could have been on my surgery journey by now. But I went to the Lipoedema UK conference, that same conference I spoke about in my last video, and Mr. Munnock did a speech, and he talked to us about liposuction surgeries. At that point, I think he'd been doing it in the UK for about 8 years. So he spoke about his journey with that. And he just really resonated with me. First of all, connected straight away because I really liked his style. He was no nonsense, no BS, you know, he was very clinical and direct in that sense. But at the same time, he was like so warm, and the way that he spoke, the compassion that he spoke about for the ladies that had been through his surgery, I just really connected with him. I liked the directness. I like to know where I stand. And so that, first of all, was like, yep, I like his style. But he also has this really nice, compassionate, warm way about him that just instantly thought, yeah, absolutely. And, you know, he's in Dundee, that's not far from me. So, you know, that's the route I'm going to go. I maybe wasn't quite prepared enough for the journey that was about to come my way, but it is what it is now at this point. I'm in it. I'm glad I'm in it. It's taught me a friggin' huge amount about the process, about the difficulties, and about myself and my own strength, which I never saw in myself before, but my tenacity and the fact that I just don't give up. And that's something that I want to say is my overwhelming message in all of this is don't give up. Don't give up on your fight for this. I know how difficult it is. I know the struggles. I know the perseverance that's needed. I know the challenges that come your way. I know the highs, I know the lows. I get it all. But please, please, please don't give up. Don't give up. You've got to trust your gut. You've got to follow your instinct. So, you know, the NHS, if you decide to go that route, it is it's fraught with a couple of difficulties. And I think the first thing is really because you're dealing with multiple levels of referral, particularly in my case, because as I said, I was going from NHS Lothian to NHS Tayside, which isn't a simple referral. It's not like you go to your GP and the next thing you know, you're meeting Mr. Munnock. When you're going out of area, and the way I was, and I have to go out of area, and most people in Scotland and in the UK would have to go out of area because Mr. Munnock's the only one, as far as I know, certainly in Scotland, who offers this surgery. So you've got multiple levels of referrals. Now, why that it shouldn't be an issue, right? People go out of area all the time. But when you've got a condition like lipedema that's not well known and not well understood, everybody that I met along my journey to referral knew about it but didn't know enough or didn't know about it at all. And so I was faced with stigma, I was faced with challenge, I was faced with confusion, and my appointments were harder and longer than they needed to be. And this was all happening at a time, remember, when my confidence was probably at its lowest. And I was still in that battle of thinking, but they should know more than me. Why am I explaining to someone in the NHS about my condition? It was just so enlightening. And again, I don't say this in any way to add doubt or to cast any kind of shadow, right? But it's about awareness and how do we need to change and how do we need to move forward. So the referrals and the multiple levels of dealing with people that don't know your condition and being the most informed person in the room is a shock. But also because you're dealing with cross-boundary views, you're dealing with and you're having to deal with people, the politics of cross-boundary and and I'll explain what I mean by this when I tell you my story. The politics of someone's perception or belief isn't the same as someone else's, and that makes it difficult. So I am hugely grateful that I live in NHS Lothian, hugely grateful, because for the longest time they have supported women with lipedema to go for this surgery, and they've provided the funding and approvals to move through to get the surgery in NHS Tayside. That situation is changing though, because the vast majority of NHS trusts in Scotland and in the UK, I think the situation might even be worse in England from what I hear. The vast majority of trusts aren't funding this surgery and are not believers that this surgery is an essential surgery for people with lipedema. And I believe that to be for two reasons. I believe it to be not because I think it comes from a place where you only know what you know. And I don't think enough is known in the NHS about this condition. And I don't think health professionals in the NHS are coached and trained enough in lipedema. So they make very high level quick decisions about treatment, and my perception is that high level quick decisions are made rather than informed decisions. And I say that because I'm coming from a place where almost everyone I meet in the NHS doesn't understand this condition. So I think not enough is known. And I think the fact that liposuction in itself is considered a cosmetic surgery also adds that doubt in people's minds that it's because it's considered cosmetic. And there's loads of occasions where it is cosmetic, but this is not a cosmetic treatment. I don't believe it to be. You know, it's a condition, and this is how we remove it from the body. So it's in it. But I think the fact that it is typically considered cosmetic is confusing things. Anyway, I'm in danger of straying into politics, right? And I don't want to do that because this is about awareness. But equally with awareness, I think there's a responsibility on all of us to ask for more and demand more from how our NHS is performing at the moment. You know, in that sense of I want to raise awareness. You know, I want to tackle the challenge and the stigma around weight and obesity and lipedema because the two aren't linked. I want to tackle the cosmetic stigma around it so that people understand that this is needed rather than it being something that I just want. And on the back of that, you know, I really want us to be thinking about the benefits of early intervention rather than wait until the point where you're nearly immobile or become immobile. Like, you know, this is progressive, as I said, so we need to tackle that. And also, from an emotional quality of life point of view, we absolutely should be able to get access to this. And the access to this should be for all, which is the whole point of the NHS. It shouldn't be a decision of whether you go to the NHS or private. It should be that you can get it on both equally, but it's difficult. Anyway, that's my little, I'll get off my soapbox now on that stance, but that's the reason why I'm raising awareness, is because I don't know how yet, but I want to challenge that more. I want to challenge the NHS trusts and the Scottish Government to think differently about this. So as I said, I'm really sharing the surgery journey just to help others who are maybe thinking about it or going through it. And also because I could do with some top tips myself. So if any of you have had the surgery, if you could share back, that would be fab. I'd really love to hear your journey and your views and things that might help me. So my journey started, as I said, 2 years ago. First step was I needed to go and see my GP, which, to be fair, my GP, I had moved to a new practice at this point. We'd moved out to West Lothian, and my GP was just brilliant, actually. You know, she didn't know, right? She didn't know, but she listened. She was really curious. She spent longer with me than she needed to finding out, and she put me through for the referral. And I know she did some work on it afterwards because she came back with more questions. So I knew that I had left her thinking about it, which is great. It's the whole point of awareness. So what happens in NHS Lothian, once you've been referred, you have to be referred to your plastic surgeon, local plastic surgeon, because the GP can't refer you to an out of area consultant it needs to be like plastic surgeon to plastic surgeon. So I got referred to St John's in Livingston, and I met a plastic surgeon there. I was so nervous about going in because I think I was at a low point in that point, and I was in that kind of lower stages. My self-confidence was shot. I so badly wanted this surgery, and I was so nervous that I was going to meet someone that didn't know anything about it and put me off or not refer me. And it turned out that nearly happened. You know, I met the plastic surgeon I was supposed to see wasn't in for whatever reason, and I met a locum plastic surgeon who was in his later stages of his career, I would say, a grumpy old man, I would say, and he nearly derailed me for a couple of reasons. One, because the way he spoke to me was a total disgrace to the human race. He was so negative, so doubting, told me I didn't have lipedema, told me this was all in my head, that I was just fat, that I needed to exercise more, that this was a waste of NHS time, that how dare I waste NHS time. A whole load of stigma, judgments, inaccuracies. Told me that liposuction didn't work for lipedema, that he had read about it once 10 years ago and it didn't work, blah, 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 blah. Like, I was definitely welling up. I was nearly in tears. I was so horrified on so many levels by the way he was speaking to me. But somewhere, because I couldn't speak. In fact, I was in, ironically, it was one of the longest appointments with a consultant I've ever had. He really wanted to tell me what he thought. I didn't speak for the vast majority of it. I couldn't get my voice out. I had this tightness in just like a huge ball in my throat. I could not speak. I knew I was going to cry. But towards the end, all I could hear was this voice coming out of me saying, I really appreciate you taking the time to speak to me today. My understanding of why I'm here is not for you to give me your opinions. I want to speak to the specialist about this. And Mr. Munnick is the specialist. The reason why I'm here is just because I need an onward referral. And that's what I expect you to do. I need this onward referral. And I said it through gritted teeth, not because I was being rude. It probably came across as me being rude, but because I was going to burst into tears. I was so upset by the way he spoke to me, and I was so upset, I think because I really wanted it, and he was saying to me no. So I just said to him, I just need you to make the referral. That's what I'm here for, with all due respect. And I meant that in the sense of, I'm not giving you any respect. With all due respect, you're not the specialist here. You don't have expertise in this area, and I need to speak to Mr. Munnick. To which he then said to me, well, seeing as you really are pushing me to waste NHS time to try and save Mr. Munnick's time, what I'll do is I'll send you to medical photography pathology, I think he called it. You need to go and get photos taken, because there's no point in you going all the way to Dundee for Mr. Munnick to tell you that he's not going to see you. So we'll take photos and we'll send it with the referral, and then you won't hear from him. So again, I came out of that office just feeling so deflated. I was walking along the corridors in St. John's trying to find this photography area, which in itself was a trauma, because I just didn't bare my legs and my body to people. I just didn't do it because of how I felt about it. And here I was, next thing, in this stranger's room who was about to take my photos after that encounter. Like, the girl was amazing. She was so lovely and so nice to me. But that way I was just like, I was just getting through it. I was just gritting my teeth and getting through it. Anyway, I cried the whole way home, and I thought, and then it was like, that whole, am I going to hear from him, am I not? What am I going to do next? Right, I need to try and gather my thoughts. And then literally a week later, I got a letter from Mr. Munnick saying, can you come and see me in Dundee, please? And it was an appointment for I think it was 2 weeks later, maybe 3 weeks later. And I was like, this is so exciting, and then I was like, don't get too excited, because maybe he's just doing it because he has to see you. So I was in that world where I was like, don't get too excited, but I was excited, but don't get too excited. It was horrific. Anyway, that was the longest 2 or 3 weeks of my life. Literally, I was like a cat on a hot tin roof. So I went to Dundee. The first time I went by myself, and in hindsight, I wish I'd gone with someone, because a lot of what was said to me went in one ear and out the other. But I think I went myself because I had been dealing with it by myself for so long that I don't know, I just felt I needed to come on. So I did. And it was just amazing, because the minute I went in, again, that directness was there, but that warmth was there. And I remember telling Mr. Munnick that I didn't expect to hear from him because of my experience, and I'm speaking to me about that, and it was just so lovely. Anyway, so within minutes, looked at me, could see, I had a plan. He showed me photographs of what I could expect to look like. We did calculations of, how much lipoedema would be lost through liposuction. And then, so I'm on my journey now. One thing he did ask me at that point, and again, this was really clear in my head, the link between obesity and losing weight isn't there. At that point, he said to me, for health reasons, you need to lose 2 stone. So he gave me a target of losing 2 stone. he said, and once you've lost the 2 stone, you can come back and we will give you surgery. At that point, I forget what I'd already lost now. I should have worked it out before I came on the video, but I had already lost some weight, so I think he could see my intention was right. He's looking for people who are of the mindset that are wearing their tights, that are doing everything that they need to do to be in their best health. And he said to me, you know, we can calculate that once you've had the surgery, you need to lose weight, one, so that you're healthier for the surgery, and that there's no risks from complication because of your weight, and 2, because we know that you'll be in a healthy BMI by the time we remove the lipedema weight. And I was just remember thinking, God, a healthy BMI, never, like everyone had always said negative things about my BMI and the fact that it was my fault and I ate too much and blah 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 blah. And then here was the first person ever saying to me, you'll have a healthy BMI, something I thought that would never happen. Like, that hope is massive. Anyway, it's not been easy, right? And so I lost the 2 stone. I went back to see him and he said, amazing, so we're going to go forward with surgery. You're doing everything you need to do, so if you're in it, stick at it. Remember your end goal. I know it's hard, right? You'll go through ups and downs and highs and lows, and I am not perfect. I keep saying that. I think I say this in every video. Like, I've hit bumps in the road, right? And there's times where I've gone off track, but I just keep coming back to remembering what's important to me. What are my goals? What do I want to achieve? And I just keep on trucking. I just keep doing it. And so while it might be, it's not a straight journey, it's my journey, right? It doesn't matter how I got there, I'm getting there, and I'm so close to having these surgeries. So what I would say is, if you are thinking about it and considering it, just be prepared for that. These are some of the things I've faced. That's not to say you'll face it, right? It's just my journey. I'm just sharing my journey, because knowledge is power, and the more we know, we know. So that's my surgery story. It's longer. I literally could talk for hours on this. The steps that I had to go through to get there were long and hard, but that's my condensed version. So I'm going to post this today, and I'm going to post and show you what my legs look like, because I do think it's important. I'm only ready to show you my legs, right? I still have it, you know, in my abdomen, very pronounced in my abdomen, my hips and my shelf and my bum. That'll be the next video, I think, but I can certainly show you what my legs look like, because I'm certainly describing it, but sometimes you don't really know until you see it. So it's going to be a big step for me, but I think it's the right thing to do. Anyway, thanks for watching. Have a great week, and I'll speak soon. Cheers, bye.